Yankees fans settle in because the Bronx has been buzzing ever since the offseason began, and today a wave of emotion swept through the fan base after a meaningful moment involving one of the team's most important pitchers. While people are still talking about the painful ending to the season, with that early elimination, nobody wanted to relive. One of the most discussed names on the roster decided to go back to where everything started and reconnect with a part of his history. And even though the scars from late October are still fresh, this trip brought back a different kind of feeling, the kind that reignites a fire and reminds an athlete what truly drives them in their search for redemption. Carlos Rodon has been riding a roller coaster of emotions. The end of the season is still very present for everyone, especially because nobody has forgotten the way the team exited the playoffs. After finishing tied with Toronto for the best record in the American League, getting knocked out in the first round of postseason baseball was a heavy blow, and some of that frustration inevitably fell on Rodon's performance in key moments. But far from the criticism and pressure of New York, he found something more powerful than doubt or frustration. He found his roots. North Carolina State, the university where he laid the foundation of his career, chose to honor him with a recognition reserved for very few. The school added his name to its prestigious baseball Ring of Honor, a celebration that brought back some of the program's most influential former players and took place during the weekend of the football matchup against Florida State. Standing alongside historic alumni, Rodon was celebrated in the very environment that shaped him as a young athlete, something that carries a different emotional weight even for someone used to the bright lights of New York. On social media, Rodon made it clear how deeply this return affected him. One of the images that stood out showed him holding a framed piece featuring two versions of himself, the player molded in college and the athlete who now wears the most iconic pinstripes in sports. The caption captured exactly what that moment represented, something along the lines of always finding the way back to the place that built you. And for anyone who followed him during his college years, the numbers always made it obvious he was destined for greatness. In 3 seasons, he piled up more than 400 strikeouts and posted an exceptionally low earned run average, showcasing the raw talent that would turn him into a top pick in the 2014 draft. This recognition could not have come at a more symbolic moment. Rodon is entering the 4th year of a 6-season contract, a massive financial commitment that came loaded with expectations from day one. And despite the rocky postseason, his regular season performance was undeniably his best since arriving in the Bronx. He earned a spot in the All-Star game, finished among the top vote-getters for the league's Best Pitcher award, and cemented a strong 1-2 punch with Max Fried, who took over as the team's ace during this last stretch. The numbers speak for themselves. More than 200 strikeouts, over 30 starts, and an earned run average that showed consistency from the beginning to the end. The problem is that when you play for the Yankees, everything comes down to what you deliver in October, and that is where the script fell apart. 2 starts, just over 8 innings pitched, and 9 earned runs allowed placed Rodon directly under the spotlight of criticism. But this return to the environment that shaped him might become the turning point he needed. Sometimes an athlete has to remember who they were before becoming who they are now in order to rediscover the right motivation. And the truth is the team needs him more than ever. We are approaching the midpoint of this long contract, and the race to finally bring the championship back to the franchise remains the ultimate mission. The last title feels far too distant for the fans, and every season without lifting the trophy only increases the urgency. That is why seeing Rodon receive this kind of recognition can serve as fuel not only for him, but for the entire rotation, which will play a crucial role in the 2026 campaign. The confidence he rebuilt throughout the regular season now needs to translate into leadership when the pressure is at its highest, and everything indicates he knows exactly what adjustments he must make to take that next step. While the spotlight was on this emotional moment, the atmosphere in New York grew even more intense because of another urgent concern that involves the future of the team. Because while one pitcher reconnects with his foundation, another monumental decision looms on the horizon, one that could shape the franchise for years to come. The situation in the middle of the lineup has become one of the most discussed topics since the season ended, especially because the void left by one of the team's major offensive pieces has not been permanently filled. Fans know there is no way to enter the next campaign without addressing that hole, and everything escalated even further when one of the lineup's most important contributors made a decision that completely changed the negotiation landscape. As the situation around the club continued to evolve, the atmosphere among supporters grew increasingly intense, with every new detail sparking more debate, more speculation, and more expectation about what the next days would bring. The coaching staff, aware of the pressure weighing heavily on the squad, insisted behind the scenes that maintaining internal balance was crucial, especially now that whispers about possible transfers, tactical changes, and boardroom decisions had begun circulating with greater frequency. What made everything even more turbulent was the feeling that each training session carried extra weight. Every gesture from a player was interpreted as a sign of something bigger, and each decision from the technical staff was scrutinized from every angle by fans eager to understand the direction the club was heading. Inside the locker room, players tried to maintain a sense of normality, even though everyone understood the magnitude of the moment. Several key figures took it upon themselves to speak privately with younger teammates, reminding them to keep focus on performance, professionalism, and unity, because these were the moments that defined not only a team season, but also individual careers. Coaches monitored reactions closely, noting who responded with resilience and who seemed more affected by the noise outside. It became clear that psychological strength was now just as important as tactical discipline. Meanwhile, discussions among the board intensified as they analyzed ongoing negotiations and evaluated potential reinforcements. The market was moving quickly, and the club was under pressure to make decisions that could immediately improve the squad without compromising long-term plans. There were internal debates about prioritizing players with experience in high-pressure environments, while others argued for investing in younger talent with potential for growth and future resale value. Balancing ambition with financial responsibility had become one of the most delicate challenges of the entire process, as every choice had the potential to shape the team's trajectory for months or even years. Outside the club's facilities, fans gathered in increasing numbers, eager for any update that could give them hope or clarity. Social media became a battlefield of opinions, with thousands of comments analyzing possible signings, criticizing recent performances, and expressing both frustration and unconditional loyalty. Even former players and journalists weighed in, adding fuel to discussions that were already emotionally charged. Everyone seemed to have an opinion about what needed to happen next, but the truth was that only a handful of people inside the club truly understood the complexity of the situation. On the training pitch, adjustments continued as the coaching staff experimented with new combinations, movements, and tactical dynamics. Some players were being closely evaluated for different roles, while others were receiving individual attention to correct specific details that could make a difference in upcoming matches. There was a visible effort to increase intensity, sharpen decision-making, and restore the confidence that had been shaken during recent results. At the same time, coaches tried to create an environment where players felt free to take risks during training, knowing that creativity and boldness were often the keys to breaking through difficult phases. Journalists watching from a distance reported every noticeable gesture: who arrived first, who stayed longer, who spoke with whom, and who left with a serious expression. These small details, when combined with the weight of the current moment, fueled even more speculation. Some reports hinted at internal disagreements, while others suggested that certain players were eager for more playing time or a different tactical role. The club, however, maintained an official stance of discretion, refusing to confirm or deny rumors in order to avoid giving unnecessary strength to narratives that might disrupt focus. As matches approached, the atmosphere became even more charged. Supporters demanded clear answers, the technical staff demanded total concentration, and players demanded trust. Everyone involved understood that results in the coming days would determine how the club moved forward, whether stability would return or deeper changes would be necessary. In private conversations, some leaders within the team emphasized the importance of entering the field with intensity from the first minute, knowing that one strong performance could shift the mood entirely and silence much of the external pressure. Internally, the medical department also played a crucial role during this period, managing recoveries carefully to avoid rushing players back prematurely. Fitness levels were evaluated daily, and special plans were prepared for those who needed extra attention. The club's physical trainers highlighted that the final stretch of the season often separated teams that collapsed under exhaustion from those that grew stronger due to discipline and proper management. Every detail, even the smallest one, was being monitored to ensure that players entered upcoming games in the best possible condition. Despite all uncertainties, a sense of determination began to grow as key figures within the squad reminded everyone of the responsibility of representing such a massive club. They spoke about the weight of the jersey, the pride of the supporters, and a legacy left by those who had worn the colors before them. These speeches, delivered in private but carrying genuine emotion, played a significant role in strengthening bonds among teammates who understood that unity was the only way forward. As night fell on the training grounds, the club's facilities remained illuminated, with staff working late into the evening to finalize strategies, analyze opponents, and prepare every element needed for the next match day. The sense of urgency was undeniable, but so was the belief that adversity could be transformed into a turning point. Everyone knew that the upcoming performance had the power to change narratives, ease pressure, and restore confidence, not only in the team, but in the entire institution. And so, with tension in the air, expectations at their highest, and the eyes of thousands watching every move, the club marched toward what could become one of the defining moments of the season, carrying with it the hope, the weight, and the determination that only football can inspire. The months ahead will shape not just next season, but the trajectory of the franchise for years to come. The hope is that everything aligns. Rodon regains his dominance, Bellinger stays in pinstripes, and the Yankees enter 2026 with the kind of roster that can finally break the championship drought that has stretched nearly 2 decades. The journey is far from over, and the next decisions made by the organization will define the path forward in ways that fans and analysts will be debating all winter long. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. Tension has been simmering in the Bronx, but insiders say it finally boiled over behind closed doors. According to people around the clubhouse, a heated exchange between manager Aaron Boone and slugger Giancarlo Stanton reportedly shook the walls and sent shockwaves through the organization. The buzz circulating among team personnel suggests Boone, usually calm and diplomatic, reached an uncharacteristic breaking point. Witnesses claim his voice echoed down the hallway as he allegedly declared that Stanton was done with the Yankees, a remark that has since fueled a wildfire of speculation. No official statement has been released, and the team continues to maintain its strict policy of silence in delicate internal moments. Still, murmurs continue to spread. Some insist this was nothing more than a flare-up born from frustration, a momentary explosion without real consequences. Others argue the tone of Boone's outburst was too sharp, too decisive, to be dismissed so easily. Rumor has it that several players exchanged uneasy glances afterward, unsure whether they had just witnessed a temporary vent or the beginning of a franchise-shaking shift. Front office sources, those who dare whisper, suggest the tension may have been building for far longer than anyone publicly realized. Stanton's role, his trajectory, and the club's long-term plans have been subjects of quiet debate. Boone's alleged eruption has now dragged those questions into the spotlight, whether the organization likes it or not. Whispers among scouts, agents, even rival clubs hint that something significant could be brewing beneath the surface. For now, the Yankees move as if nothing happened, issuing no comment, keeping doors closed, leaving fans and analysts to connect the dots on their own. But around the league, everyone is watching, ears pressed to the ground, sensing that this story is far from over. Whatever truly transpired in that room, whatever Boone meant or didn't mean when he reportedly shouted those explosive words, The rumor mill is running at full speed, and the future of one of baseball's most polarizing sluggers is suddenly shrouded in uncertainty. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.